We thought, wouldn't it be mysterious if our band was called blank of a revolution, period? So there's a sentence, an ellipses, blank of a revolution, and no one will ever know what that word is. You can call us OR, but it'll be our secret. This is just 5 people in a basement. And we've stuck to that. And it says something about us as a group. Our revolution was personal. We were wanted to be different from everyone else in our town. And we wanted to inspire people to be different by playing songs about our lives.
Hey, I'm Scott Savlov, and welcome to another The Path here. And with us from New York, I believe that's where you are currently.
That's right.
Marc Roberge. And Marc is the founding member, or one of the founding members, lead singer, writer, producer of OAR, of a Revolution. Which, you know, when you go right into it, it's amazing. I mean, you guys have been together for 25 years, right?
We are living the quintessential basement band dream. You have garage bands, you have basement bands. Where I'm from in Maryland, basements are common, and we had big dreams. And when we named the band Of a Revolution, this is no fan base, no nothing. It's us in a basement and a couple friends who would come after school. Our revolution was personal and it was small. Big dreams. And now we're just kind of maintaining. It's all about maintaining and just
right.
And just keeping it afloat. And that's been the fun of the last, 25 years.
For you, Rockville, Maryland, do you still have family back there?
Oh yeah, we have family. My in-laws, my wife's from the same high school as me, and are so many friends and family. Yes, we are deeply rooted in Rockville.
Well, the intriguing thing you mentioned, like basement band. Let's first take it back a little bit further. What was your childhood like prior to being in a band? Normal kind of. Were you into sports? Were you into school? What was your childhood like?
So I grew up the youngest of 3 boys. My parents, my mom a teacher, my dad a lawyer. Watching my parents work really hard, and we always, paper route, get your job at where we were from, 12, 13, 14, you're starting to work and all these things. A huge part of my life was sports growing up because of my brothers being older, watching them go through in Maryland, again, lacrosse, wrestling, football, and that was a huge part of our lives. So local sports, again, then regional and beltway sports, more expanded travel sports. And the music thing came, I guess, again, from listening to my brother. My mom's from Atlantic City. Her father was like a, blackjack dealer, musician, bar tending dude, He had a drum set upstairs, and my brother would play on it all the time. And I would listen to that and was always intrigued with the scene that they were creating in Atlantic City. Just as a kid, it seemed fantastical to me. I didn't realize, my folks, they didn't come from any money, didn't have anything. All they had was joy and music and 45s, and they hung out with their friends as ways to celebrate the life coming over from Europe and living in New Jersey, right? And so when I saw my brother and heard my brother playing, and then he eventually became a drummer in a band called Foxtrot Zulu, who was like a jam band from the Northeast. So always watching my brothers was how I got into almost everything that I got into. Sports, then music. And drove me to be tough or to fight or to anything. It was always coming from the place of smallest third boy coming up swinging. So I have them to thank for all of those things, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
The school life, were you a good student?
I was always an interested student. I found projects really fun. I wanted to be involved with the student government. I always wanted to be involved with school because I enjoyed teachers. My mom was a teacher. I respected teachers. I respected the lesson plans, the work they put into it. I would never want it to be a problem. But I was also a little bit of a smart ass. So I'm friendly with the teachers, but I'm also a pain in the ass. I'm good at the work because I felt like I could handle myself in school, but I'm not giving 1,000%. So I'm never excelling, always doing everything, making it fun, maybe a little bit of trouble here and there. But Ferris Bueller was my guide in life. And, I always wanted to be a sitcom dad. I always wanted to be a character in a John Hughes movie. I lived my life under those sort of circumstances. When I got to high school, it was Dazed and Confused. We wanted to be the 90s version of Dazed and Confused. We lived that life. School was fun. We were involved, not too much, not too little. Everything was in moderation, everything. So I was a good student when I wanted to be. I experimented with everything, bad student, not going to school guy, because I was 18 my whole senior year. I never went to school, but I was just happy. I don't know. I got an award at the end of senior year for the most excused absences. Because I was just on good standing with everyone. I just respected, I don't know what I'm saying, but I respected school and everything it stood for. But I just would come in and then I'd bail and then I'd be in and I'd be out. So I never really took full advantage
of a revolution, baby.
I was always on the move, man, writing songs, stuff, make shit happen. My parents were super supportive of the arts, music, being in plays. I was in dinner theater when I was 10, 9, and 8 with adults. They were just really.
Were you singing it in those spaces? Were you singing it on stage?
I was singing in the choruses of Bye Bye Birdie or all these shows every summer, and more so was being in the culture of the theater as a young 8-year-old, 9-year-old, no parents around. It's very familial. Everyone taking care of each other, going out to eat. I'm up till midnight. I mean, not supposed to be there at all. No negative experiences, only positive ones. So I found a lot of value in the arts and sports. I tried to find value in everything, every institution around me.
So growing up, were you like one of those kids like a Redskins, and then, I guess at that time it was more Orioles, because there really wasn't the Nationals until probably when you were getting out of
about 25 years ago, I think, right around the time of the Ravens coming around, Under Armour from Maryland as well.
Right.
We all were born in the same.
But do you remember rooting for those teams when you were a kid?
So I remember the Redskins, RFK Stadium. I remember going to a Cowboys game with my dad. The stands shaking. The stands at RFK were shaking, and I can remember the freezing cold bench. I can remember being a Redskins fan until it was no longer fun to be a Redskins fan. I no longer. I mean, I love the Commanders. Sorry, I'm blanking.
Yeah, hard. It's hard to go there.
And I'm really happy for everything they have ahead of them. I think they've struggled as a franchise. The new stadium stinks. So Ravens have been very interesting to me, and I love the product. I think they're a good team. But anyway, growing up, Redskins and Capitals, all caps. The Cap Center was my home away from home. My dad had season tickets. We'd sit on the glass Tuesday nights. He'd take me straight from school. And so I grew up around sports as a fan, and always decent at most sports, but baseball, terrible. I can't hit. So I never went to games. I didn't find interest in it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, that area, and the reason I mention that is it's very passionate fan base. Redskin fans are very passionate, just like I grew up as a Giants fan, very passionate. People, come draft day, it's big. Get into the preseason, it's big. You're talking about your teams, and it seems generational. Where living in San Diego, I'm not saying it wasn't that way, but it's much more. Whether it's in the DC area, if you're into, the Redskins, or the Commanders now, but back then the Redskins, you were really into it. You knew all about it. My wife worked at C-SPAN long, long time ago. And I remember, again, the area is so driven off of politics, right? I mean, if you live in Maryland and in the DC area, it's like she would come down to Florida to visit me, and I was a sportscaster, and I was just basically an extension of college. I would do sports, cover sports on the news, and then go out with my friends and get drunk and have a great time. And, and live that. And she would come down, and it would take her like a day and a half to like not be in that DC Beltway intense mode. Like, it's politics and it's sports and it's, it's very intense is the way I always looked at Maryland, and for a kid growing up and seeing it, is that a fair assessment of the area?
I think for me, one of my greatest memories structurally is talk radio, because my dad's listening to WTOP,
Right.
15 minutes, the news cycle. The newspaper is a big part of our morning, sharing and reading the newspaper. The structure of the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, based upon current events, politics, news, and the cycle of that,
right.
Wag the dog, This is all very real in our growing up in the 80s, 90s. You're living this sort of what was once a very dramatic but controlled political environment. Whereas now it's dynamically dramatic and uncontrollable. Well, you had
that is an elegant, by the way, that is as elegant a descriptive of what goes on today as I've ever heard.
Well, thank you. Because, what I was used to getting was information tailored to what was important at the time. No frills.
Right.
So growing up under those structures was
right. You would go to CNN to get national news that was not covered by your local station.
And opinion wasn't a part of it. So for me, again, opinion, growing up, my father didn't tell me who he voted for. I didn't know how much he made at work. I didn't know anything other than when you get a job as soon as you can. So DC, Maryland, Virginia there was people with money, without money, in between. But the work ethic existed in all realms, because I think structurally around you just saw order. Things you heard, orderly. Going to work was rush hour. There were times to go and times not to go. Everything was ordered. So for me, I always understood the importance of work, doing things, sticking to the rules of things, right? So art gave me the juxtaposition of growing up in structure with also having parents who were completely cool with art. And I really lucked out. So yes, DC area, Maryland, Virginia, absolutely has a certain and had a certain thing in the air revolving around the politics of Washington, but not the politicians. It was more about the structure of things and how things work. You knew, hey, why is it designed the way it's designed? Why are there no direct routes to the Capitol? Why are there circles in the thing? Why? We knew about all these things because it was there for us to learn about. These days, I don't know. It's a lot different. I'm thankful for that.
Yeah, people stay away. You want to shy away from it, because it gets a little crazy.
It's kind of gross. And I've wanted so badly to support politicians in their journey. And now I've chosen just why? I'm going to get let down. It's too much opinion. It's like
Yeah.
the jobs are clear.
Well,
The jobs are clear. The needs are
what
clear. I don't know what the opinion part needs to be, but anyway.
I don't think you're wrong. One last thing on the area, through golf for me, I did an event here in San Diego, and then the general manager left and he went to DC, and he was the general manager at the time of the Four Seasons in Georgetown. And he invited me to stay out. I had to go out there for a project, and I got up early in the morning. It was like a warm, in DC when it's summertime, it's hot. There's no like,
very
it's
humid.
kind of pleasant. It's hot. It's really sticky and hot. So I got up really early in the morning and I kind of started jogging, and I jogged down, to the White House and then to the Capitol building and then the mall, all the way to the Lincoln Memorial. And I still maintain this, now it's harder because of all kinds of protective things that are in place. But when I was, at that time, that to me was the greatest jog in the United States. If you could find me something more where you get goosebumps, where you're jogging, there's the Smithsonian and there's the reflecting pool, and you see these things. It's such an invigorating jog that I remember I came back, had dinner, called home, and I'm like, I'm going to go do it again. So I wanted the nighttime. And then you see these classes at the Lincoln Memorial at night, like these class trips. We go there and they're reading on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, and I'm jogging by there, and it was so inspirational to me that's one of I'd say my finest memory and jog for a runner. It's the best run I ever had was there on the hill doing that kind of a jog. So there is that, for me, fondness of memory of how wonderful that area can be because it's so majestic in that space. Anyway, for you started off when you guys were like 13, 14, right? As the basement band. How do you then know what instruments you guys are playing? How did you guys sound in the basement initially? Did you even know you guys were good, or was it you guys just sucked and you just worked your way through it?
I got to say, we had a lot of help. In the beginning, our drummer, Chris Koulos, my best friend, lives 15 houses down. We meet up on our bikes, band practice, right? His father ran pro audio at Washington Music Center, which is called Chuck Levin's. It's there's Sam Ash, there's Guitar Center, there's Chuck Levin's. Okay, so on the East Coast, if you're in a band, you know what that place is. But he ran pro audio sound out of there, and he was able to come over one day with a 4-track mixer. This is just in the very beginning of us. I slept out overnight for my first guitar with our guitar player, Richard, an Ovation that was on sale for $299, borrowed money from my dad. Richard taught me my first couple chords. We're in 7th and 8th grade. And the 4-track shows up, and we record Patience by Guns N' Roses. And right thereafter, we start writing songs. We had support we didn't know if we were good or bad or anywhere in between. I didn't give a crap if I knew 2 chords where I'm going to write songs about it. I knew from the beginning, being a fan of music, Crowded House, Pearl Jam, Genesis, Phil Collins, Peter Gabriel, Bob Marley, Peter Tosh, the tapes in my brother's tape deck. I just knew, write songs about your life. People will believe you. It's therapeutic. I knew at age 12 when my grandmother died of cancer, it was my first experience with cancer. I wrote my first song called Cancer Life, and it was a ripoff of a Jimi Hendrix song. And it's like, whatever I had to do to get my therapy on, and this is subconsciously, we're all in the basement playing songs because something's driving us there. We just had support. Right. We knew we had something, though. And the reason we knew that is because our friends would come over and they would hang in the basement and just listen. And then I'd make songs up about them. And then we started making tapes. And then we started selling tapes. and they were selling.
Huh.
And this is in high school. We'd done the talent show in 8th grade, then the cafeteria in 10th grade. Our equipment started to build up a little bit. We learned more chords. We were recording like songs at the very local studio, our friend Gant Kushner in his basement. And then we discovered disc makers. I could send $1,000 to this company in Seattle, and they would send me 1,000 CDs. The artwork we made was in newspaper class. In that newspaper class, we have Dave Mallitz, who now writes for the Washington Post, Jed Tamarkin, who designed our very first logo and album cover, who is now very successful, Joe Lewis, who is now created huge hits for Amazon and HBO and all these big shows. This is a talented group of people, and we're all sitting around writing Seinfeld episodes in newspaper class, So it's a very homegrown thing, a lot of support locally. We were super lucky, but we had something because the songs were about our life. We were Dazed and Confused from the 90s, okay? Like, we lived that shit. And we wrote songs about it. And people connected. High schools locally. Napster hits. We're getting hit all over the world. We're going on weekends. We go to the same college because we figured, listen, it's the biggest college we can get into, the most bars. Let's apply to Ohio.
It's the biggest school, too.
The only reason we applied there was because of the amount of bars that were there.
Did everybody got into the Ohio State University, not just Ohio State?
2 of us got in. Richard transferred. We said, dude, you got to transfer. Okay, he did. He got straight A's and transfers from the community college. Benj was a year behind, the young guy. He gets in and he comes. So it's like everyone commits. We follow the dream. We build a sales rep program because we said, hey, if we get 25 CDs in a box and all our friends go to college all over the country, let's give them each a box and tell them, give us $250 back. But if you can't get money, just give me the email addresses. Give them the CD. I don't care. I have a book of more .edu email addresses than anyone in the country. And this built our mailing list. So everything was done.
Cool.
Our first manager was my brother. First record label. He built our indie label to one of the biggest in the country. It's like everything was done so hands-on. But it was all based on original music, no covers. We never wanted to be a cover band. I'm in cover bands now for fun. That's great. We wanted to write songs about our lives. At first was fantastical. Wow, what if? I'm a wanderer. Then I went and did it, and I wrote about it. And now I write about my life, trying to fucking parent and make money and live, So it's
the dream.
The dream.
Yeah.
So that's a long-winded answer to just saying we made songs about our life and it worked out great.
If you're tired of long contracts tying you and your monies to big wireless providers, there's a great alternative without any catch. It's Mint. That's right. Mint Wireless offers premium wireless starting at just $15 a month. Mint Mobile's secret sauce is that they're the first company to sell wireless service online only. They cut the cost of retail stores and pass those savings directly to you. I made the switch. It was simple, it was easy, and yes, it only cost $15. I was getting killed with my wireless bills for me and the family. I really like the idea of no long wait in the store as well, putting my name on a list and wasting the day away. Mint Mobile gives you the best rate, whether you're buying for one or for a family. And at Mint Mobile, families start with just 2 lines. All plans come with unlimited talk and text, plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/path. That's mintmobile.com/path. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/path. And you mentioned Benj. Let me tell you something. You could not have a better neighbor. He is my neighbor. He is 60 yards from me. He is the most civic-minded, kindest soul, knows every single neighbor, and probably knows like details. Oh, that's Mary. She's blah, 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 blah. And I'm like
Beautiful.
looking at him.
I told you, it's all from caring. It's not that hard when you care.
He is as nice, you know, not only neighbor, he's just a nice human being.
Yeah.
Talented as can be, knows like metal work, you know, how to do these things. It's like, you know, I'm thinking about like, okay, if I'm going to redo my garage door, I'm going to ask him what the right way, because he's going to know how to do that. He's just like, so it's amazing. He's your bass player and childhood friend, but I'm telling you, that guy is a neighbor. You can't get a better neighbor anywhere than Benj.
Since we were babies, I mean, you know,
and his wife is lovely. They're super sweet people.
Amazing people. And I've known him since we were children. Our parents would celebrate the high holidays together and we'd be sitting at the table. We didn't know. I mean, we knew each other through our parents. It's like we didn't know years later we'd know each other our whole lives. And this thing is created of friends from the neighborhood. We call ourselves like the Goonies of rock and roll. And I know other groups have used that, but I'm telling you, we were the Goonies. Like riding our bikes to band practice. Dead Man's Cliff is down the street, going and looking for treasure. Like that shit was us. and you can only do that with your best friends, you know?
Right.
And Benj, Richard, Chris, now Jerry, John and Michael, everyone who's the most recent addition to the band was 12 years ago, you know? So it's like everyone's been this thing for a long time.
Right. Yeah. You guys aren't changing. The name OAR, when you guys came up with that, was that in 8th grade? When did you guys become OAR? Right.
So our first band name was Exposed Youth. That was our band name in 8th grade, Exposed Youth.
Right.
We were a grunge type band. We were playing electric guitars, and then when we got into high school, the name Exposed Youth, and we started recording our stuff, it just wasn't appropriate. To be honest with you, you know, we just felt like, wow, how long can you be called Exposed Youth before it comes completely wacky? And we realized it was time. So I was at the time writing a short story called The Wanderer, which was basically everyone's coming of age story of going out into the world. In that book,
right,
or in that story, there's a sentence blank of a revolution. Again, I'll remind you, we had no fan base. It was just a band, guys and friends. We thought, wouldn't it be mysterious if our band was called blank of a revolution, period? So there's a sentence, an ellipses, blank of a revolution, and no one will ever know what that word is. You can call us OR, right, but it'll be our secret. This is just 5 people in a basement. And we've stuck to that. And it says something about us as a group. Our revolution was personal. We were wanted to be different from everyone else in our town, and we wanted to inspire people to be different by playing songs about our lives. And like Our Revolution seemed very deep, and we wanted to keep it that way.
Oh my, 20 thrown down in my there's a bridge and a man to my left is holding down. Johnny the water with the royal blood. I had 3 chaps and a pair of knives. My mind is turning just 2 shots more. There's not much left to play. I'm just running out of time. Was up against you. What to do? My wallet's getting thin. I just lost my watch last night. Well, I got a problem to hold in, so gotta hold all down. Kiss that shit goodbye. Was a crazy game of poker. I lost it all. Someday I'll be back again in the high. Never to fall, never to fall.
And people started calling us Or. Because on this tape, the first cover that our man Jed made, it looked like it said Or, and it was wooden, so it looked like an oar. And I don't care. I said, call me whatever you want. It doesn't matter. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Just hire us.
Yeah, it didn't matter. We made business cards up on Rockville Pike. I still have them. I got my first second line in the house, 340-615, call for bookings. And we started playing birthday parties, the local bars. We ended up playing at some biker bars who really embraced us in Olney, Maryland. This bike crew just really let us do our thing out there, and that kicked us off.
And then you guys shifted to Ohio, but I'm assuming then you all went back home during the summers.
We did. We went home during the summers, record an album, go back to college. It became very serious. MTV is coming to our college to film. Sway is in my, I'm sitting here with Sway, and he's like, so what's up with your band? This started to happen. Napster's going crazy. We're traveling 3 days a week to Arizona, coming back for class, doing this thing for real. Come time to graduate. We graduate in May. A week later, we play with Kid Rock in Memphis in May. John Mayer's our guitar player in Atlanta for the day. Things start popping off. And we went on tour that year, 2001, in May, and that was it. And look, I'm pumping my tires only because I'm really proud of doing something that none of us were born talented in music. None of us were born with skills to do this stuff. It was all work. And when I hear anyone on TV or anyone anywhere talking about hard work, it clicks. I'm like, oh yeah, that's my parents.
Sitcom. You mentioned sitcom. What was your go-to sitcom as a kid, and then how do you reflect on that today?
Okay, so when Ray Romano, Tim the Toolman Taylor, the list goes on and on and on. I mean, Dan Connor, all these sitcom dads. I wanted to be a sitcom dad. Okay, I don't know why. I spent a lot of my time not one of those kids just sitting there watching TV either. I just felt there's something about the kitchen on Home Improvement when they're arguing and it's fun and it's kids and I'm like, I want that life. I liked it. And I built that for myself because I feel like there's safety in family. There's something very wholesome about that. That's just something about it. So I always thought, wouldn't it be funny if I could be the clueless? My wife calls me the clueless groom. I'm just down for whatever. It'll be fine.
Right.
And that's just I don't know, something about the sitcom, not because I didn't have I had a very happy childhood, sitcom style house. It's not for that, not for the opposite thing. I really thought it was interesting. And I think TV gave us that sort of break and the possibility that you can kind of create your own little world,
Did you ever write any song reflecting on your passion for sitcom?
So not so much passion for sitcom, but passion for home.
Okay.
There was a moment I'm sitting on my friend Frank Newby's driveway. I'm on my 85 Civic. I had my brother, I bought it from him for $200. 85 Civic, 3 tinted windows, beanbag ashtray. We're sitting on the trunk, and I got friends in the field, friends on the driveway, and this dude, Mike Caputo and Frank Newby. And I'm sitting there playing guitar. I start singing a song about I feel home. I see you. I start talking about these people. Right. This song I ended up playing this song at the funeral of one of the kids that was sitting there with me. Because a few years later, he had a tragedy. We lost 2 kids that day. And one was Benji's best friend, and one was our close, dear, good friend, And then you play it at a wedding. And then we ended up playing the song in Iraq. And then you're playing the song in Australia. And then, so I Feel Home to me was about not only a sitcom life, but a community life.
Right.
I'm a real big believer. You talk about Benj knowing the neighbors. This is him because we grew up this way. When you look in The Simpsons and you see everybody in the theater and you see all the characters in the theater, that's what we
Right.
think of where we come from. Everybody's got a story. So for me, I Feel Home was about everyone in this story. So have I written songs about sitcom? No, but every song I've ever written has been about the neighborhood, has been about the family, has been about, it's all the same thing. It's not about something I don't know. It's about what I do know.
Right.
And that those are these simple things that I find in television or in movies like Dazed and Confused. You know, you look at these threads of all these amazing movies, even the biggest, grandest stories, they all come back down to two or three themes. That's what the music is. It's Stephen King, huge influence. The Stand by Me, the Body, huge influence. I see such value in groups of friends, such value in not being alone. Bands. All these things are from the same thing of, so yes, I've written everything about a sitcom. Our life was a sitcom,
The inspiration for music, but have you thought about, like, if you were not a musician, what would you be doing?
I've always wanted to write, and I'm not good enough at it, but I think if I really wrote every day, I'd get pretty good at it. I really, really, really wanted to write or teach. I just wanted to do what my parents did. My dad's a history guy. My mom's a teacher. I wanted to teach, make lesson plans. Still, I think my dream is to end up at a school teaching a course on songwriting or lyrics or building a theme or, I've seen all these books about, when you look at Star Wars or you look at any of these amazing stories, breaking them down. That is something I think I would do. And I'm now translating telling a story into creating events. So, for instance, like OAR, we have a life of our own. We are doing our dream, and that's everything to me. It's afforded me the freedom to create other fun events, festivals or this or that. You can tell stories in these events like yours with the golf tournament.
Right.
It's not just a tournament.
Right.
You're telling a story of need, fun, joy, and providing.
Right.
Providing is like the greatest thing you can do for yourself or for anyone near you. And like stories provide inspiration. So it's like, that's what I would want to do, is continue that sort of, I just like imagination. I love freedom to tell a story, to teach, to create the delivery system of a lesson. How am I going to get this lesson from here into your head? So that to me would be something I'd like to do. Is probably, I've gotten 4 years done in college. I'd like to get my master's and teach,
Interesting. So who would be for you then a great inspirational influence on your writing style? I mean, is that music related, or could it be nonfiction or fiction, just a style?
So I would say stylistically, Stephen King was a humongous inspiration because that's the only thing I would read. I mean, in 7th grade, I would take The Stand and I would put, how they had those leather book covers that would like go over a book? People used them for the Bible and stuff. I would put The Stand in there, and then I'd be in class reading. I was so engrossed in the way he writes is so agreeable. It's so easy you're taken somewhere, but it's not confusing and it's not like, look how smart I am. I was like, oh, that's really cool. So when I listen to songs like by Crowded House, Pearl Jam, or any of the writers that I love, it's like, it's delivered in a way that I don't feel intimidated by the lyric. I don't feel like they're going right over my head. Like a lot of literature, I'm like, I don't even get what's going on here. I'm really proud of every man. I mean, every man or woman. I want it delivered to me in a simple way and let my imagination take it. So that's been an inspiration in the way I write, I think. Early on, I was listening to a lot of Bob Marley and the Wailers. Coming from DC, radio is very amazing at night. You get a lot of great reggae, a lot of go-go, a lot of really great genre, different genres of music. So I really attached to the pulse of reggae music. I loved it. And as a delivery, it was like, wow, I can really feel this rhythm. And if I can get lyrics in there talking about my life, wow, what a cool combination that would be. I was inspired by just everything I heard or read as a kid, and it was always from the story delivery, you know. So that, and now I'm inspired a lot by the guys in the studio. So I'm here right now. This is one room. There's about 5 or 6 of others, and it's filled with writers, producers, artists that you know and love. Everyone's hanging around making songs. And that's a huge part of my inspiration. I just went up front and listened to, you know, Matchbox 20's new album or Goo Goo Dolls or like anyone who's working here, right? You know, and at night it's all these different artists. That's inspiring to be on top of what's happening. But at the end of the day, I just love a good story. You know, I can watch a movie and I could write 1,000 songs about a movie, you know, just from watching a character go through something. I don't know why. I just really love storytelling in music. I don't really want to hear about the club.
Right. For you, do you ever get not necessarily bored, but exhausted playing? I mean, your fan base has their go-to music, right? Some people could come up to you and say, this song got me through this situation, which to me, every time I'm with an artist and I hear them, it does touch them because that's effectively how music, as you said earlier, it kind of has no barriers. It could touch everyone's life and it touches their lives differently. But do you ever get to a point where you're like, let's not sing Shattered. Let's not do that. Let's not sing this song. Let's not sing that song.
That's a really good question because of the fact that we're lucky to we have a fan base who knows
hits.
They know, a lot of people just know the radio songs. That's it.
Right. Right.
So we'll make sure to play those at a concert. But I'm being more receptive and more understanding of people's love of the deep cuts. And those are normally songs that we've produced ourselves and really cared for and like molded. And then, and by industry standards, they're not successful or whatever that may be. Right. You have to not worry about that. The connection is what you're talking about. And that's what you need to honor. So the last few years, we've really made an effort to like find out, what is your story? Why is this connecting to you? Today I was fielding something I can relate to. This gentleman's wife is going through cancer and he's seeing me next week and he wants to hear this song and it means the world to him. And it's like, yeah, because I can relate to that moment. I'm not going to go on stage and make up some reason why I'm emotional that day. I can't do it.
Right.
But this guy's thing struck a chord with me and I will make sure to make a moment out of it because it will be therapeutic for me as well. And it's like, it's just all got to make sense. So I try to make sure everyone leaves the concert feeling just better than when they got there. Job well done. I'm not going to hit all the points. I'm not going to get everyone's happiness covered. But if we give effort, everyone will leave feeling good. And you'll know, man, I'll know. If I'm playing a show and we're phoning it in, which never happens, but if you notice the crowd is maybe not feeling it, like, we're going to turn it up and we're going to make it happen because it's like, look, people spend a lot of money to go to these shows. If they want to hear a song and it makes sense, yeah, let's do it, you know? But at the same time, we're going to do the hit songs because those are the ones that took us all around the world and we connect with those too. And that people always come up to me and go, like, if you have a successful song, they think somehow I don't like it or something. Like,
Right.
they'll be like,
It's like, no.
yeah, they're like, that song was in that movie, huh? I'm like, oh, yeah, that was like the coolest thing I've ever had happen to me.
Right. Totally.
So from, I'm still a kid in the basement going, what if our song was in a movie? And so people cheapening it, I don't take it personally. It's all good, but it's been a long time. I mean, look, when we did a song for Twilight, when that first came out, I was so sensitive at that moment to like people not liking it or liking it. But looking back, I'm like, I can't believe I got to do that. It's just you.
That's awesome. Exactly. The fun thing to me, have you ever gone like without even thinking about it, you go to a show and someone's covering one of your songs?
I've been, oh man, just one of the some crazy times where you're walking down a street, like, and a bar, and you're just walking and you hear a band playing and you're like, that's my song. And I'm standing outside of a bar and they're playing my song and they're 26 and they're slugging it out. I'm like getting choked up even thinking about it. It's just
it's awesome.
It's like being in an alternate universe. Unbelievable. One time I'm on the island, I'm out with my wife. We're just hanging out and a kid tears into the intersection in a Jeep Wrangler, doors off, cranking a deep cut from like my 9th album, like something so random. He's like an 18-year-old kid playing our music so loud in the town square. And I just felt such pride. Like, it was just the greatest feeling. So yeah, that does happen. And it's
awesome
feeling. Yeah.
For you, if you had to have a magic wand, right? You're Harry Potter. You have the magic wand and you could just bring anyone on stage to perform with you. And I'm not, again, you love your bandmates because they're your childhood friends and they're still your friends and they're your family too. They're not friends, they're family.
Yeah.
And that's what people really need to come to terms, understand that. But that aside, if you said, hey, guys, you play this, or let's cover this, I want this guy or this woman to come on stage and perform with me, who is that person?
Oh, so we have gotten to do a lot of these things. So,
right.
Which it's, the list was like, Run DMC. Oh, well, now we're DMC all the time. We do fun stuff. Richie Sambora came to Red Rocks and played Living on a Prayer with us. It was like, is this really happening? Richie Sambora again sat in a hotel room with Richard till 4 a.m. on the double neck guitar, teaching him Dead or Alive. It's like, we've had experiences that have blown our minds, playing in a club in New York and Wyclef shows up and starts singing No Woman, No Cry. It's like, it's already happened. So anything now is an overtime and extra. For me, it would have to be, oh man, there's so many good ones. We actually developed OAR and Friends, which is our band. We are the backing band and we have singers come out. And so far we've had Nate Ruiz from Fun, John Resnick from Goo Goo Dolls, Counting Crows, Gavin DeGraw, like everyone's come out and done this. We did a show. We're doing another one coming up soon. And so we build these events to live out these dreams. So for me, the list remains, and I'm going to try to make it happen. But I mean, Tracy Chapman, I would just be standing there. I wouldn't want to sing. I would just want to watch Tracy Chapman sing live would be amazing. I would absolutely love to do another song or set or tour with Ziggy Marley. It would be another amazing experience. There's a lot. It's really hard. Almost everyone that I grew up listening to, I would love to. I got to play with Mike McCready once from Pearl Jam, and I was covering Johnny Cash, and he said, "Good job." And I was like, "Oh my God." He said, "Good job."
It means the world to you.
Yeah.
Right.
He'll never remember that, but I'll always remember that. And the second you get out of that wonderment, I think it's time to hang it up.
Right. Totally, because then it's not as meaningful to you.
Yeah, you know, I mean,
It's flat.
which again, I love these awards. I watch, you know, Oscars, all this shit. You see like groups of these creatives in the room together that seem to be enjoying it.
Right.
That's awesome. But the second I see someone outside of enjoying it, taking it too seriously, and the wonderment
Gotta
is
go.
gone, I'm out. I'm so out on how important you are. So for me, like, I only want to hang with people like Sam Bora, for instance. This
Right.
is a person who, like, if he was in this room, he would just be talking about the guitars and like the history of the blues and what about he loves and da-da. Never for a show. That's the type of person I want to be around. So the list is wide.
Well, it's a passion. It's a passion play.
Again, the professional thing. If I can see a pro anyone, I find it very interesting, you know.
For you, you mentioned the Goo Goo Dolls, both Johnny and the Goos now a couple of times. You are touring with them this summer.
Yeah.
So
He's down
that's
all right now. I'll try to drag him in here, but they're a humongous band. I mean, they're known all over the world, and we were in the studio for a year. He's making his stuff, I'm making ours. We get to know each other. We'd met, but we'd never really known each other. And I like this guy. Like, I really like you. And we get along, and we should go on tour next year. And that's how it happened. And they've been
amazing. Their manager, Pat, is a friend, a dear friend.
Yep.
And I will tell you, if he says go play golf with Pat. Do not play him. If he says, which he's never done with me, for cash, Pat can throw down some numbers. When he gets in a groove, he can play.
I bet.
Just letting you know, he's one of those sneaky, deceptive long hitters.
Super
and he
smart.
loves golf. You cannot find a nicer person than Pat. And so you're in for an amazing summer. Hopefully he's out there with you, and you both may reach out to me to get you on a good golf, different course that you can't get on or haven't thought about. That's what this is all about.
He's a really smart manager, and him and John together, and Robbie, of course, are just seasoned. People love them. We're going to have a really fun night. And so,
it'll be a great tour.
It's going to be a really, really fun time. I'm looking forward to it, seeing them sing. They got 16 top 10 hits.
Right.
I mean, 16.
Well, you guys aren't too bad.
No, but that's pretty good.
I'm just saying, I'm not blowing smoke at you, but it's not like you guys are like, oh, okay.
I like to think
you guys don't suck.
Well,
you're pretty good, man.
Jerry's a saxophone player. He's like the GM of the band. Like he knows, stats. He knows about shit. We always say, like, in life, you got to be able to run a mile. Like, if shit hits the fan, you got to be able to run a mile. If you can run a mile in any direction, you'll probably get out of a bind. In rock and roll, you got to have an hour. Just like comedy, it's like 10 minutes for a comic. Like, in rock and roll, if you have an hour of radio songs that are like known songs, you're
pretty good. You've
got something. And it takes 20 years to get to an hour of like known. These guys could go on for hours and hours. Goo Goo Dolls could just go and go and go. It's pretty impressive.
They're in that category. My older daughter came up and she said, Dad, when all the music you listen to, those bands that could be in 5 decades of hits, it's an amazing bracket of bands. I'm like, looking at it. And so you start naming off these bands that are like, have been doing it for 5 decades. It's astounding. The Goos are pretty darn, all of you guys are really talented writers. The key is the writing. If you can't write good songs, it's done. It's over, because, it's like, there's nothing to it. You're listening to it and it's like, it's like, how many M's can you throw?
Really?
In a repeated way.
Yeah.
So
I listen.
You know what I'm saying? It's the writing.
Yeah.
It makes you guys a talented collection of storytellers.
No, I mean, we're really lucky. There's just so many. The thing is that the odds of it are so slim I
Right.
think when Bruce Springsteen did his interview with Howard Stern, Kiss did their interview with Howard Stern 2 days ago. It's like you're going to hear the folks who are real killers who have done it for 5 days, the real ones.
Right.
They're going to break it down like Bruce broke it down. He's like, first you get a guitar and everyone's got a guitar, and then you can play a couple chords and less people can do that. Then less people can play in a band, and less people can write a song, less people can get a top 50 song, top 20, top 10, right? The idea of even having one song that gets on the goddamn radio, it's like one in a zillion. So
right.
You have to like appreciate and respect the opportunity to do it again and again and again. If somehow it's working, right. It's like taking care of that is like I said in the beginning of this, it was like the whole goal of my life is to take care of OAR, because OAR provides my family, it provides all of us with jobs, but then it provides us with freedom to be artists and do other stuff. But if you don't
right.
take care of that one thing, you can't do all the other stuff. Now I'm going to just make wine. It's like, I'm not a wine guy. It's like being an OAR guy. And so that is what I'm learning from the generations that have made it last forever. It's like, take care of the shit that got you where you are, your boys, the band, the basement, the neighborhood, the parents, the things. Take care of that. All the other stuff will happen. If you don't, like clockwork, that other stuff is going to fall apart, man. And and maybe you're not.
It happens all the time. You mentioned something, and my last point too will be, Benj said something about you that is one of the greatest compliments. It wasn't about songwriting, which I'm sure he would compliment. It's not about the music. It's not about any. He said Marc's ability to balance family and our music is amazing. He has the absolute best ability to balance real life and our music. And I think that's a very fine compliment from a childhood friend.
Benj is so...
Mind you, his dog was taking a dump at the moment.
All right.
But it still was reflective.
But it's like, because that's the highest honor in this job, man. And by the way, may I mention that Benj, Chris, Richard, Jerry, all of us have the exact same hand of cards. And we are doing all the same exact good job of balancing our families. And it's like, everything he said about me is the same for him. And I hope he realizes that. It's like, we're not doing this on our own. And that's all we ever wanted. I mean, honestly, seriously, like the sitcom thing, like we always wanted to do cliche rock and roll stuff, and we did it all. But we never went anywhere outside of the realm of take care of the family, have the best time you could possibly have and be crazy, but take care of the family. And when we always just kept that focus, it kept us out of trouble. I mean, it really did. So what he's saying, I hope he's saying it to himself too, because he kept me out of trouble. I kept him out of trouble. We kept it focused on the family, and I think that that's really like, it's more of a testament to just, again, his parents, our parents, get a job.
I met his dad recently. His dad, they were walking the dog, and super nice man. And, but I think it's a testament of why your band, and you're playing with the Goo Goo Dolls have been around for a long time as well. I think that it's a testament to why these bands like yourselves for your summer tour is reflective of a lot of really good music, but it's probably that energy within the bands themselves that keeps everybody fresh, keeps you caring about each other so much that it makes every night a great experience for your fan bases.
Yeah,
if you don't connect, right? If you can't connect, right?
Yeah, bring the family out. We hang out. It's like we're in it. We're not phoning it in. You're not going to catch John Resnick on that stage phoning it in for a second, because that's disrespectful to the person. It's like, And I can't even honestly name band. I'm not even thinking of artists who do phone it in, because anyone who's out there doing it now, you really got to care. Look, it's very tempting to stay home and stay safe and protect your little thing and be like, I'm not going into dangerous, risky waters. But what's life about that? It's like going on tour is risky. So you better love it and you better be into it. Because look, I look at my kids, my 13-year-old, I ask him, and I've been asking him for 8 years, 7 years, it's like, should I hang it up and stay home all the time with you? And now my 10-year-old too, they say, no, like, you're a musician. Like, they know we are musicians. That's what we are. We're a touring musician.
Right.
We're not studio. We wouldn't even be happy staying home all the time, and neither would they. So it's like, we're in it. Come out to the concert, bring your family, be into it. Like, we'll make it fun. And that's what we provide. It's like Jerry always says, we want it to be a family affair. And if you want to cry with us at a concert, I'll be there for you to cry about. I've been through stuff. I'm going to talk about it in my songs.
Right.
I'm not going to preach to you. You're not going to hear my views on anything other than my current life
emotions.
Right. So it's like, come on out,
Totally good. For information of how people could buy your tickets now for your upcoming summer tour, starts in July. Where do they go?
LiveOAR.com has all your OAR needs. They've done a great job over there. Seamless, super easy.
And make sure you follow Marc on his Instagram. Support him, and you'll see some of his. I follow Marc and see some really cool, just fun shots. You kind of give little snapshots, like little family history, but it's not it's just kind of fun things, a little insight into who you are by following you on Instagram. Marc Roberge, thank you for coming on the path here and sharing a little bit about yourself. You're in studio, which is awesome. Can't wait to hear the new stuff, especially on your tour. I'm going to get you out playing golf with us.
This is like this creepy thing that's hanging over us. This is like you think it's all fancy, but no, we make these songs in these rooms. It's pretty close to
scary as it can be.
Yeah.
But man, thank you so much for visiting and sharing a little bit of insight. What I try to do here is you've been asked every question you could think of, and people can always research and find other questions over the 25 years. I like finding out a little bit of the vibe from you, so that way, if your fans can catch something different about you or some insight about you, that they go, that's kind of a cool way of looking at it, the way Marc's breaking it down today.
I mean,
and that's kind of what we're doing.
I so appreciate it, man. I mean, letting me babble here. I don't do many of these at all, because I'm always trying to work, and I felt this was really fun because I didn't even know some of the answers I was going to say until I got to talking about. Again, they always say it all comes back to these childhood things, and
100%.
And it really does. And I think, and I'm just really floored by the things you're saying about Benj, how nice he was talking, because like I said, the reason why you know him and the reason why the neighborhood knows him is because he's such a caring person. And that's,
he's trying to put speed bumps on our street, which we desperately need
because of caring. You see what I'm saying? It's like, it all comes down to very basic things that were either instilled in you or not. And some people don't have it, and that's okay. And we can help bring them in and feel a little something,
Totally. Thanks again for coming on the path here, and we'll
thanks, Scott.
Grab some of Marc's upcoming music and try to promo their tour when our show drops. And we thank Marc for coming on the path here.
Thanks, Scott.
Hey, thanks so much for listening to this week's show. You can subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Feel free to write us on thepathhere.com to have one of your questions featured on a future episode. You can follow me on Instagram at Scott Savlo. If you want to send us a tweet or follow us on Instagram, it's at The Path Here Podcast. Hey, I'm Scott Savlo, and you've been listening to The Path Here.